This is everything this book teaches about that migration time period. The book doesn't tell any story. It's a list of facts to memorize. I wish it told me of their experience. What did they feel? What was it like? Aren't decisions like this important? So when I hand over the wagon train to you, who do I hand it to? It's going to get harder today. Wagons home!
He gave you a baby?
Yep.
Everybody, when Cecily and Espen come into the train with that, it changes the lives of everybody on that train.
He needs help! Isn't it more dangerous?
I mean, why take the harder road when you don't need to?
What's the point of going down the hard road?
Why are we on this wagon trip? Are we here to get to the end? Are we here to get as far as we can in one day?
No.
We're here for the experience.
Susan Kuhn, beloved wife of Isaac Kuhn.
August 11, 1860. While on the way to California from Coles County, Illinois, the child, Robert E. Kuhn, born on August 9, survived and was taken on to California by his father with the aid of other members of the party. Frank Dunn, a stone cutter traveling with the wagon train, spent the night carving the original headstone. An additional grave marker has been subsequently placed by Susan's descendants. This is one of the very few immigrant graves along the overland trails with its original headstone.
Original day.
Did you read it?
I just wouldn't assume that people would take out so much time to just do that one thing. Which wouldn't seem like it'd be like that important, but still kind of someone to do that.
Tell me what you're thinking. Think something. Or did you?
It's just so weird to be right where
They
they died.
died.
And that it's original. Not just a memorial that they set up because they know that it was like around here. But the original person.
Why would somebody do that? You know the trail. You know the hard road. Was the man on the hard road or the easy road?
Who?
The man that made the gravestone. Was the woman on a hard road or an easy road? Have you got time on the hard road to do that? The real journey, the one where you know there's not a vehicle behind you to spare you if you get into an accident, to bail you out, right? I like the words you said. Why did he spend time to do that?
It was important to them.
It was special to her.
We love them.
Oh, I love what you just said.
He was a human. We love them.
And there's love. And yet they may not have been really associated with each other other than that they were here at the same time with each other. But it was important. That's a stone.
Yes.
There's a natural rock from probably this area here.
Kind of rock.
What's on it?
Writing.
special writing. What?
It's about someone. It's about her.
Read the first word.
Susan.
What is that?
name.
There's a name
Person.
on that rock. Why'd they carve it on a rock? Why not just carve it in the sand? Why not carve it on the wall of a sandstone? Why not carve it in a stick? Why not take a board off your wagon and carve it out? Why look for a rock? Because I could paint it in axle grease quickly. Why spend all night chiseling it in a rock?
Because will stay there.
So to remember.
More permanent.
Is that important to us as humans? They carved a name. A name is a noun. When our brain hears a name, a noun, we think that's important. What was carved in stone in ancient times that was important? It was carved in stone.
10 Commandments.
Why in stone?
Because
They'll stay there.
Because it says something to us humans. What does it say?
permanent.
And it's important. It's permanent. And it's important. Scratch it in the sand, my name. And what does it do? Those words. That man had a sense of humanity, didn't he? I will spend all night and carve her name in stone. Because she lived. She's important. We want to be remembered, don't we? We want to think our life mattered. We want to think that life matters. Look at each of you. Look around. Sometimes we forget that their life matters. That they're struggling their way through life. That they have death moments, heart death moments. And we forget that. We remember ourselves. We remember what we want. And we fight amongst ourselves. But who here is not important? But really in our hearts, we kind of have a sense that some are less important than others. And we find ourselves treating us like that way. And here a man did what he did. And we get to see that. That's how important it is. It moves us. It certainly moves me. Would you consider something? And I say this sacredly, I say this respectfully to you. But would you notice the sense you had when you saw the grave, the emotion you had when you saw the grave, the sense you had, the timeliness that you had, and what you did and how you did it? Do you recall it? I'm saying this in respect to you. I just want you to notice yourself. Anybody revisit it, or would you like me to rehearse it to you the way I remember hearing it? Sure. Would that be easier for you? I saw you turn and come down. Miss Vixter, we saw the grave. And we saw all the graves. Now what? Now what spirit does that sense to me?
I don't care.
Who died here?
The mother.
Say that word.
The mother.
You didn't say a woman, did you? Who died here?
The mother.
That's a different word. That's a very powerful word. Where did she give birth?
Right here, right near here.
Where on the trail? Did it say where on the trail?
It said right near here.
It said near here. She gave birth where you had breakfast. She camped there, where you had breakfast today. Let me say it in terms of your trip. She gave birth at the fork of the hard road and the easy road. That's where she gave birth. What road did she take? What road? It was at the junction of those two roads. She took the hard road. To be a mother is a hard road. There are those who will not be a mother because it's a hard road. I may be bold in what I'm about to say, but I'm going to risk saying it. Making love, that's a term is that a term that I can say? Should I say having sex? I'm being bold, aren't I? Making love, which I think is kind of a maybe misstated word. Having sex is not a hard road. Why would people do that?
It's easy.
It's easy. And there's something about it, our brain that enjoys pleasure. An easy road seems to want to offer that for us. And there are many who will have sex and not realize they've just turned on a hard road. 1 out of 5 women on this trail were in some stage of pregnancy. 1 out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of you's pregnant. Okay, on the trail. Think about that. 1 out of 5 women on this trail were in some form of pregnancy, and they were having babies, and people were dying. Life was happening on this trail. The cycles of life were happening on this trail. The same people that left Independence, the same group that left Independence, was not the same group when they arrived. Emotionally, mentally, strength-wise, and as a human population. Now, you are ladies. This should come to you at a different place. What does that relate to today? Are there people doing that today and they're not committed to a child?
Mm-hmm.
What happens? The baby is born. What happens?
You get to grow up with 2 parents or any of them.
Left behind.
What?
Behind.
I didn't hear the word.
Abandoned.
Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
Abandoned means some don't get to grow up with any parents at all. If they're abandoned, what else might? There's another choice not named yet.
Die.
Tell me more.
If you just leave it, it could die.
What's another way babies die and never go on?
Abortion.
Say that word louder.
Abortion.
Have you heard that word?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what you're thinking. First, think. And go ahead, connect it to the baby that you got on the hard road. Isn't that where you got the baby?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you guys get a baby on a hard road? I am not asking you to feel guilty. I really am not. I want to say that out loud. I'm not asking you to feel guilty. I'm asking you to have a feeling and sense it to reality. Because we had the conversation, and we thought it was plastic, even though we had been treating it as real. When it got hard with that, well, our trip is more important. Remember that? And that makes sense to me. Our trip is more important than this inconvenience. Do you see a connection, though, to the real world?
Mm-hmm.
And why it would matter? Cecily, you went back and picked the baby up, right? No, just listen. Isn't this what we heard? Okay, let's just listen. It's the sound of an abandoned baby, isn't it? Do you think that's real? Do you think it really happened? And you went back and picked it up. Careful. Even though it's plastic, you picked it up. It's important. Human life is important, not just as a child, not as just as an unborn child, but as a child now without a mother or without a father or without either parent. What is the wagon train going to do about that real baby? Who's going to be able to feed that baby? We can take out a plastic bottle. Who's going to feed that child? brother's dead. And a man sits up all night and he carves the stone because life is important when it starts and when it stops. And if everywhere in between. My date of birth, born 1820 something. The line in between, that's my life, my trail, my burdens, my joys. The line in between and the end line that says died. All of that's important. Some of them stop right here and stay alive. Some of them you go to school with. Some of them are you sometimes. Who's taking care of those people? Who's going to take care of this baby that died on this trail? That's real, isn't it? Did that baby die?
Mm-mm.
What happened to that baby?
The
Father
father
took
took
it.
it, and some of the other people from the wagon train.
Somebody else from the wagon train. The father could take care of it, but he couldn't nurse it. Right? They had to find somebody on the train who would be willing to do that. They're malnourished themselves. They're struggling themselves. And somebody reached out and said, I will care for this child. Did the child grow up? Did he get a line in between birth and death? Was that line filled with some struggles? Probably. Do people get abandoned? That's real life. Do you see why I said, just look at this baby lying here and listen to the baby cry? What comes up in your heart? I've been taking care of the baby. I've pretended it was real when it was easy. Why not continue when it's hard? And you reached down and you picked up the baby. Put the baby in your arms. Please. You reached down and you picked up the baby. And you continued, didn't you? That's strength. And I honor that. That's strength. And you took care of the baby, and you took care of the baby, and you, and you, and you, and you, and others took care of the baby. A couple times we set it down again, didn't we? It's too inconvenient. Names carved in stone. We're important. You're important. You're important. You're important. Unborn babies aren't important. What are you thinking?
I don't think that's the one I got picked.
I saw you with it later on. Okay, who picked it up?
Yeah.
Did you accept that? Did it bother you that you didn't? Or is it okay? Do you understand that we understand that we were living in two worlds, a pretend world and a real world? You understand that, right? And you shouldn't be judged for putting down a plastic baby. None of us should be judged for putting down a plastic baby. When this other life we're doing is hard enough, right? At what point did you pick it up? Are you understanding what I'm saying? We're not to be judged for setting down a plastic baby. And we're not to assume, would you abandon a real baby? That's the truth we need to know, right? That's why I say I'm honoring you. I'm not scolding you. I'm not saying shame on you. You get me? I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying this trail should teach us something. This trail between our own life, birth and death should teach us something about the importance of life. When a life comes into the world, that is a special thing that's just happened, isn't it? A life has come into the world, and that will change the world. You have changed the world. You come into our class. You come into my life. My life has been changed as a result of that. Look how much energy and expense we are willing to put into a life. Is there anybody here that never took care of it? Y'all did, didn't you? Were you delighted? And that's real life. you understand the story now? Understand where that came from? Here's another question that I'm thinking of. What if you had known this story when he handed you the baby? Do you think what would it have been the same, do you think?
I don't think just because of the story we might not have abandoned. I might not have abandoned it just because you know the story behind it, and maybe you might feel a little bit more obligated to take it just because of what you've heard of what they've done back then and how much. If she went through that, then it doesn't feel right that I should leave this baby if I know what she did.
Isn't it nice we get to practice real life without having permanent damage? Huh? That's what our trail is about. We're practicing real life, where we can make mistakes and then look at ourselves and say, how would that match up with a real life? The real life that I'm building for myself. We have real emotions over our practice life. And those real emotions help us to think. I love a word that you said. Some people we see as an obligation, and that's true. There are some people that we have an obligation to. Some people are our obligation. Others are our opportunity. Some of you are our obligation. Some of you are our opportunity. That's real life. You feel different about being at this grave now than from the first moment you saw the grave. I respect you. I respect you deeply, and I understand and do not judge for any of those things that are happening along your trail. Because we're trying to make a woman out of a girl. The woman will be the result of the girl that raises them. The girl is mother to the woman. The boy is father to the man. I'm going to step aside in a minute and let you just do a little thinking.
Oh, they made a fire, guys! Oh, I'm so proud of you guys. You made a fire all by yourself.
Was it really by ourselves?
Where's everyone else?
What are you making? Cornbread and chili.
Oh, can we have anything chili? It made me really sick last
We can make bean soup. Here, I know how to. Here, we do beans. We need to find beans and tomatoes.
We don't have tomatoes.
What?
Which one would you rather have, regular salt or lower salt?
Here, hey, someone hand me the pot. Okay, these bugs are really irritating.
What else can I do?
Ah, what is with this bugs?
The girls need to sleep in a tent. There's mosquitoes. And it's bad. Okay.
I want to eat food.
How are you guys
I
gonna
do.
cook the cornbread?
With a skillet. How do we know it's 425 degrees?
You don't. You gotta
Don't you want a lid on top?
We don't have one. Dead bug.
Did you already open another?
Here, yeah, let's do this one.
That looks like
Debussy Nua. Ke Hagani Samayagui.
Sean, wake up! You must be awake to eat. Wake up! And also it gets hot.
Not 1 minute. 1 minute will turn into 1 month. Come on.
Nummy.
Yeah, that piece is really small. So. If you guys get a corner piece, share with somebody who has a bigger piece.
Can eat mine.
No, Sean, you must eat beans.
I don't like it.
Sean, you have to eat it. Sean, you have to eat it.
I like food.
No, Sean, you'll die.
Good beans?
This is like a banquet meal.
Good?
So good.
Can someone get the
by Jane. By Jane.
Is there something I could use?
Yeah, here.
Fire, we have to wash the cast iron. And
Scrub them.
it's all fancy directions.
Sand.
Baby and me are happy.
Like, how are you? What is your name? Oh, my great grandma, Nianzo, Patty Mike, Zaiduka, Nianbi, Palali, Nianapa, Clay. It's really good to actually open up to people and not be scared, because your family is part of you and you're part of your family. Be proud of that, no matter what.
I was thinking that when we first met you, I wasn't really sure. Should I be like cautious or should we try to be as nice as we can? Because usually my interpretation of Indians before I came here was probably like they didn't want people taking their land, so they would get probably angry and try to play tricks on the settlers and stuff. I was thinking that like most Indians would do that. I wasn't thinking about like other Indians who might not be so hostile, that might be like more on the positive side. So I was really, not shocked, but I was surprised to find out when you gave us the 2 loaves of bread in return to come with us. That was astonishing, and that was a really nice, kind act to do.
So you were kind of scared of us at first?
Yeah. I was like, is this a trick or something?
Oh, you didn't trust us? Yeah. I was scared when you guys came over, honestly, because we were waiting for you guys, and then we thought you guys already took off past us, and so we're like, oh, we'll just leave in the morning. And then we heard these bikes coming, and I was scared. I didn't know who they were, and they'd stop and talk, and then there was lights everywhere. I was like, what are they doing? And then they'd turn around, and then they'd come back and stop and talk, and I was like, who are they talking to? I was really scared. I didn't know who you were. And then I heard all these sounds and the mules, and then I was like, oh, it must be wagons. But that's just kind of like how our people were a long time ago. We didn't know who was coming. And when we seen you, it was like, what is that? What are they doing here? Are they talking to us? What are they speaking? I can't understand it. You know, it was scary.
And so on this trip with my students, I wanted them to hear the story, not from the perspective of the immigrant, but from the perspective of the individual for whom these traces my students are on are the scars of the ending of her past history. I wanted them to hear it from her story, not my interpretation of her story.
A lot of the lands that we used to own have been taken. And when the settlements came through and settlers came through, we got shoved away from the resource center.
But the Native Americans used the beavers for shoes, for winter clothing, and for things like that. You know, that was their resource. And once these immigrants came through and started trapping them, it's like us going into your house and taking your clothing and your shoes away, your winter clothing. And it got to a point where the natives were like, why are they doing this? We need to stop it. You know, they didn't understand why. And so they went out there and they started taking their guns and moving the traps out. And in one of the journal entries, one of the immigrants was saying, I don't understand why they took our traps. Why are they doing this? We need to make money. You see, like, they didn't understand that other lifestyle.
And it's just like today. If you see somebody and the way that they're acting, you don't really know their background, their history. And so it's kind of hard to just judge right off. But in society today, even I do it. It's just the way that we grow up, right?
When I bring these students out here, I want them to understand these were human beings who lived here, who were affected and were part of the emigration story. And those immigrants would not have made it west without the help of the American Indian. And the American Indian was benefited by that interaction. But as the years went by, the American Indians saw the decline of their ancient civilization, and they began to resist that. And that's when the conflicts began.
There's different encounterments. If you see a dog and he bites you, you're going to be scared of dogs, right? And if your friend comes over and the dog's really nice to her, she's going to like dogs. So it's the same thing as Native Americans. If they have a good experience, they'll be nice. But if they have a bad experience, they could be mean back. Are you tired? The song that I'll sing is about rabbits and the sagebrush-covered mountains. So when you guys go past sagebrush-covered mountains and see a rabbit, think of the song. Okay, if I can get it out of that. Damin manan gbohoroya be hena, damin manan gbohoroya be hena, roya wiyamba gamanzi hena, gamanzi hena, damin manan gbohoroya be hena, damin manan gbohoroya be hena, roya wiyamba gamanzi hena, gamanzi hena. Ayun.